So Dave Robinson did a kind of like live analysis of this like dog breed data, and he made a Shiny app out of it. So maybe I can walk through what it looks like in PyShiny and just try to translate some of that to PyShiny. So I watched him work with this data, so I know a little bit about it. And for some context, I think there's a little bit of cleaning that has to happen, and then some reshaping. The interesting thing, so is I understand there's 3 pieces of data. You have these breed traits. So this is for each breed of dog, it's like ranked, or I think it's rated on a number of things, like how good are you with young children? Apparently retrievers are really good. Norwegian Lund Huns are not the best. Then there's the trait description. I think this is a pretty wild one. This is just written out description. So, and I actually love this, like, so for affectionate with family, if you get a 5, it means you're lovey-dovey, which I find to be just great. So a retriever's lovey-dovey, and then breed rank all is this is a little bit different. This is like from 2013 to 2020 or 2020 rankings of the dogs basically over time. What we can look at is maybe like comparing dogs across traits and working on like a Shiny app that lets you kind of like, because there are a lot of dogs here if you look in the breed traits. So it'd be nice if a user could choose the dogs they want to look at and be able to compare them in a plot. There's a little bit of wrangling. Here's a weird thing. I can either wrangle it in Suba or pandas. For me, Suba is the most fun. So, and I'm pretty used to it. So basically this is a port of Maintain from dplyr to Python. And I've kind of come to rely on it as a thing that just kind of like wraps pandas and does a little bit on top of pandas to make life a little easier. So the way it works is pretty similar to dplyr with a couple twists. So for example, like if I want to find a dog that's not very affectionate with family, these columns are crazy. I might have to fix that. But I could do like where it's 1. So okay, so like the Anatolian Shepherd dogs, apparently they're very like independent. So the key with Suba is that like with dplyr, it would look like pretty similar. You'd have a pipe, and then you'd have like this just by itself, something like this. So the big differences are now the pipe's like a greater than sign, and we're using like an underscore rather than referring to the columns directly. This is just because it's way easier for me to just keep thinking in dplyr than to kind of switch. And it's not that different from pandas. Pandas would be like breed traits, affectionate with family, and then you do something like this. There are a few ways to do it. So it's kind of like there's always like a pretty the translations to pandas aren't crazy, but it just cuts out some writing basically. The other useful things, and I'm cheating because I saw Dave work with this, but for reshaping, it'd be nice to tidy this so that a lot of these columns become to go from wider to longer. So it'd be nice if like a lot of these were a column called measure, and then these things were a column called, say, value. One of the big things we have to do though is that these are all numeric. So it makes sense that we could reshape them. We've got to drop things like this that use a different kind of measurement. So I'll do select, and I'll use the minus sign to remove things. Actually, first I'm gonna, I think, clean up these column names. So there's a PyJanitor library, which is nice, that can clean names. Or I guess we can, let's see, it'd be something like, I always forget how to do this. I think you could do something like This is crazy, but I think this will do basically to snake case. Let's see. Did something bad. Columns. Yeah, so this is pretty gnarly pandas code, but the trick is that this gives you back index of columns, and then indexes and series in pandas have these string methods. So you can do like string.lower, and then you can kind of like keep going. So this is, I would probably just use in other situations, maybe PyJanitor. Like it's nice in the tidyverse, there's just a clean names function to get rid of a lot of this, but I'm just gonna define it here. Oh, that's bad. Just gonna put it here. I think I'll just mutate it because life's too short. So that should do it. And I'll just return it. So this black, I have black formatting set up, which gets kind of weird. I might turn it off, but oh, this is bad. I gotta auto format code when save the notebook. I think that'll do it. Let's see. If I do 1+1. Okay, we're back. All right, sorry. So that's weird. So that's what's doing a lot of this formatting. I don't really know. The weird thing between R and Python is I'm not really sure how to. R is kind of nice. You can like quickly. One funky thing about Python is to do the pipes with nice format, you kind of gotta use these parentheses around them. So I'm just gonna pipe this using this pandas method. Sorry, this is kind of crazy. So it's okay, great. So now we've got nice formatted names. And all of that's just so in this select, I can now just drop using like coat type and drop coat length. Okay, so I think now we have everything and we can reshape. So what I'll do is gather it, so the first argument is the name of the new column that all of these will be put in. So these names, and then the measure column. And then I think that we just say everything we want. So negative means we want everything except for the breed column to be reshaped. So now we've gathered breed traits. Now we've taken all these columns and basically like, I don't know how to use human words for that, but so now each measure is right here. So each of these cells, and now the columns are in this measure column. This will be useful for the app because I'm gonna call this traits long, I guess. This makes it a lot easier to select things. Now we can just filter to keep specific columns or filter to keep specific breeds. So I think that's the big dplyr thing, is like before we could filter by breed or select a column. The beauty of gathering is now we can filter either of these things, breed or measure. I'm going to rename measure to trait. So, all right, great. So now we have this data. We can visualize it. I'm going to use plot9. So plot9 is a support of ggplot2. It's super nice. I think it's been around for a long time, and it's a super faithful port. So basically, all of this is me trying to like squint my eyes and produce what seems like tidyverse code. All right, so let's see. Let's just traits long ggplot. So I'm going to actually we need to filter it probably. So let's get just maybe a couple breeds. So I'm going to use the pandas method isIn. So that's like get it from this list. So let's say Labrador, Retriever, scared French Bulldogs. I'll double check that worked. Oh, something bad happened. Let me. I wonder if this is a little bit. I need to somehow see it as a list. I think that, okay, so this is a weird thing. This is a great data wrangling problem. This is a character that appears as a space, but isn't. Sometimes you can Google these things and it'll show, people will explain like what is happening, but usually you just string replace them. So let's see, I'm just gonna do it. Yeah, I'm just gonna call it like remove or replace space or something. Like a column. Wait, I don't care. I'm just gonna put it in the mutate. Okay, so let's put it here for now just to see. So we selected, we gathered. Let's just replace it here and see how this goes. Mutate read equals string replace. I think it's just this character, and then let's see if this works. Okay, so yeah, visibly like no change, but I'm guessing this will let us. Let's see. Yeah, great. That was a real scary issue. Cool. Okay, so this got it, and then so I'm gonna filter maybe. I'm just gonna keep. Say like affectionate family and good with young children. Okay, I'm gonna, so can black format this. It's using this Jupyter, what's it called? Jupyter code formatter library. Cool, so now we've got 2 traits, 2 dog breeds. We can plot it. So ggplot on the x-axis, probably trait, y-axis, probably value. And then I'm gonna make a bar chart, and then I'm gonna make breed its own plot. Let's see if that, oh, something bad happened. Oh, I'm sorry. Geom bar counts up the values. Geom call makes a column. Okay, so this isn't super exciting. There are 5s on both of these. But this is maybe a nice example because there's a lot of room for improvement. So one thing I like to do is make the fill the breed or the trait. This just kind of like recodes this information, but makes it easier to see. And then the other weird thing is this text is horizontal, so we can change it in the theme. I think it's like axis text x And then this kind of tricky ggplot thing, element text, angle is 45. And then the last thing, this is probably the most common thing I do in ggplot is notice that it'd kind of be nice if this end character like matched up with this. And I think that's just h just equals 1. I don't even, honestly, this is like this very snippet I use so much that I just like reflexively slam it every time. Oops. So, okay, so we've got plots. We did like a little bit of cleaning, a little reshaping. I think, so this is something Dave did. I think it's like perfect. Like this would be a nice kind of like starter for a Shiny app. Like we did like a little analysis, we made our plot. But now it would be so nice if we basically could select the breeds and select the traits. There's this weird thing, like if you watch people build Shiny apps, actually, I think the most intriguing part is they often have like analysis code somewhere and then like Shiny app code. I think this is actually one of the hardest parts of starting with Shiny is the workflow, like having your analysis on one side and your app on the other. Do I have Juby text? No, I don't. Let me install this really fast. What I often end up doing is using Juby text. So this is the code. What I can do is, let's see, Juby text. One thing I like to do sometimes is I just put the Shiny app at the bottom of the notebook. So, and the way I do this is you can pair the notebook with something called LightScript. And notice that when I save it, it produces a Python file. So now what happens is like, basically I just want to keep exploring, but I'm going to tuck a Shiny app like down below. I don't know if this is a good idea or if it'll even work, but, and I'm going to add a section like exploration. Okay. So now the trick is that now I have my exploration code up here and Jupyter Lab has this nice, table of contents. So I just marked like, oh, this is my exploration code. This is my app. So I can jump between them. And then what I'm going to do is I'll just scaffold out like a really tiny Shiny app. And then I'll just run the whole script. Cause like life's too short. I kind of want to just do the exploration and the app in the same place. I'm going to copy out maybe from the, I mean, this link won't exist in a month, but just this tiny app. Okay, so the key is like, this doesn't do anything really because Shiny needs the CLI, the command line interface to run, but it's kind of nice. Like it's all in a notebook. And then what I'll do is I'll run it separately. So you could also do this in the Jupyter Lab terminal. That might be a good, I should have done there, but dog app. So I'm just gonna run, oh, I don't remember how the CLI works. Shiny run. I think I'll keep looking at the help docs. So the thing is, I wanna run Shiny run, but then I also wanna run this reload so that it auto reloads the app. So Shiny run analysis.py and reload. Okay, I might need to also set the port depending on, okay, so basically what's happening now is it executed this notebook. So just to back up, this notebook through JubyText is now saved also as a Python file. Every time I click save, it syncs with the Python file. Shiny CLI is just running that file. And the reason that's useful to me is I'll just put like a lot of exploration code in here and I'll define the app down here. And then I'll just check over here to see like what the app looks like. So, all right. And it's kind of convenient because a lot of Shiny apps, I just dump this stuff straight in. You know, I can like kind of like dump it in and then I can clean it up and move it into its own file if it's useful. So like, for example, we already have traits long, so I could just even put this in. Let's do like a render let's see, return like traits long. I think that, so where we are right now is that rendering tables is still a little bit, is in the works, but so right now it's rendered as a UI. Let's just see what happens. Why don't I'll drop in the plot instead. So let's see. So I'm just gonna dump in this plot code. So just paste it in. Put this here. And I think this should just show up. I'll do render plot, output plot. I'll change this. This isn't a table anymore. This is like a trait graph. This trait graph. Let's see, I love it still has this rogue input. So I'm not seeing anything, and that tells me probably that there's an error or something. So I'll look here. I don't see anything. It's probably something I did. I think I didn't return it. All right, so this is the graph. We have this kind of useless input. Now we have this like hard-coded thing. What I'd probably do next is I'd like swap out these hard-coded things for a like dynamic input. So you do input, I think it's selectize, and I'm gonna call this traits. And traits. So this is the label that'll show up on the input. And then so many options, choices here. So what we can do is multiple equals true. And then choices equals, what we could do here is we could actually set these as the choices to start, just to make sure things wire up. Let's just see that it worked. Cool. So the choices are here. They're not wired up yet, but this is a kind of a nice, I think for me, sanity check that it's like ready to go. And so now I'll just swap out this for input dot traits. So this thing here, just to link it up. All right, so yeah, so the move was kind of like, I set the choices, I copied the choices from here to here, and then I like swapped in the interactive piece. Cool. So now we can see, like I can toggle it, which is great. This is still kind of boring because I just hard-coded 2 choices. So a nice move here is you can actually just hard code the choices based off the data. So if I go to like traits long dot traits unique, let's show this. It's trait. Okay, so this just gets me each unique trait. And then the last thing I need is Shiny, I think, wants it as a list. So I'll just use this pandas method to list. So what I'll do is I'll probably do like options traits or something, trait. And options trait. So now it's all of the traits in the data. So now we can see like for a French Bulldog or Retriever, different things about it. I'm gonna make this a little bigger. Nice, so we have the traits wired up. Let me go ahead and try to set the breeds now. So I'm just gonna do the exact same thing, but drop in breed. So I'm gonna call this trait maybe, and just paste in the exact same thing. Unique. And then because it worked out okay for the other, I'm just gonna jump straight to it, input dot breeds. So this is not right. So I did something bad. Let's see. Oh, I put the traits here. So Options breed. Yeah, that's cool. I'm partial to beagles. Do we got corgis? Oh, we got multiple kinds. Yeah, I love that Pembroke Welsh corgis seem a little more affectionate. You know, Cardigan Welsh corgis a little bit too independent. I don't know. Yeah, that's nice. I think the autocomplete's great. Like being able to search super fast.